I will say that I may have made a mistake on who the Pittsburgh Steelers should have taken with their first pick in the NFL draft this past spring. And I am not anti-Derek Harmon. I am pro-Derek Harmon. I think he is a great addition to the Steelers, brings a ton to this defensive line and what they can do. However, the Steelers took the approach that I supported to wait until 2026 to draft a quarterback. That approach looks terrible right now because there is no good quarterbacks. Fernando Mendoza is going to be gone long before the Steelers are up. And right now they're getting mocked to Ty Sampson or Simpson with the 30th pick in the draft saying that guy's going to be good. No, that guy's going to be the next AJ McCarron. That's where we're headed here. In the process of all of this, they avoided Shedeur Sanders and Jackson Dart. Shedeur Sanders has done nothing. Jackson Dart has done a lot. And I am very thankful that we are not having a conversation of the Steelers pick Shedeur Sanders over Jackson Dart, which was the quarterback many expected them to pick. But the Steelers were interested in Jackson. They had eyes on the Ole Miss quarterback with a boatload of eye black and an arm sleeve and chose not to do it. And I got to be honest with you. The swagger that he has brought to a field, the presence and the ability to show that, yes, he's a rookie and he makes some mistakes and he has rookie moments where you go, all right, that wasn't the greatest. He's got so many moments where you're going, that was a really good moment. That was a moment you could build off of. And as a late first round pick, that is what you're looking for across the board with any rookie, let alone a quarterback. I'm going to sit here and say this right now. I don't think the Steelers made a Shedeur Sanders mistake this past offseason. I think they may have made a Jackson Dart mistake. I think they may have missed on a quarterback that, looking back, hindsight's 2020, the Steelers possibly missed on a guy that would have learned behind Aaron Rodgers for a season, because that wouldn't have changed anything. There would have been no pressure for him to start because Aaron looks fantastic, so you're not going to pull him. And he looks this good in New York, which is a second-class organization with nobody around him because Malik Neighbors is on IR with a torn ACL and an awful head coach. And he is making himself look good, and the Giants look like a decent football team. I can only imagine what he'd do in an offense like Pittsburgh's, in an organizations like Pittsburgh's, with Aaron Rodgers teaching him. Maybe the Steelers missed on a guy. And again, hindsight's 2020. But I think it's possible that they did.
I'm going to go ahead and firmly disagree. I think that while what Jackson Dart is doing is impressive, love to see a rookie come on and strong and to be a difference maker for his team, even for a lowly franchise like the New York Giants. It's impressive what he's doing. I am not sold in any sort of way that he is going to be the long-term solution or the sort of next larger than the rest quarterback in the NFL. Now, is he going to be a starter in the NFL? Maybe. I don't know. What I feel very confident in is that this sample size that I'm seeing from him feels less like an absolute showcasing of what he is going to be now and moving forward, and more of a sort of a player taking advantage of an opportunity and running with it. And he is on a red hot streak. And I want to see him continue it, not just for, the next couple of weeks, but really for the rest of the season before I would say, absolutely, this is a mistake in hindsight. The Steelers totally whiffed. They totally missed on Jackson Dart. Right now, I think he is an impressive rookie, and I think the Steelers also have an impressive rookie, an impressive first-round rookie at that, and in their own organization. So while I certainly see quarterback is such a long-term need still for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Jackson Dart at 22 looks like a long-term solution candidate, does not feel like it's a miss on him. I think there's really, maybe I'm crazy, but I think I said this maybe a week or two ago when we talked about Jackson Dart randomly, but he's going to get himself into a lot of trouble. He's really physical. He takes a lot of hits. If he doesn't learn how to navigate away from those things, he won't be able to let the talent shine long enough because he'll take too many hits and injuries will take their toll. And so I think all of that is still very much on the table. And through a handful of games here, I'm not dismissing that precaution and those worries right now. But I see what you're saying. For me right now, it's too early for me to fully agree. So I have to respectfully yet firmly disagree with you.
The firmly gets me. I don't disagree with you that there are things to work through. I don't. And I'm not laying out Derek Harmon as a bad pick. Great pick. Derek Harmon's going to be a stud in the NFL. I think that in the same sample size that Dart is putting out there, Derek Harmon is putting out an even better one. I like what we're seeing from him. I think he's had one bad game out of all of his starts, and I think the rest of it's been very impressive. There is no position more important in the NFL than quarterback. None. And I think Y.E. Black would have been a pretty decent defensive tackle to brought in here and said, all right, maybe things are okay. Maybe they would have been okay. Now, things could change. Lots of things could change. I was watching John Gruden the other day. He said it himself. There's going to be a quarterback that knocks our socks off at some point. At some point, there's going to be a quarterback that knocks our socks off. And when that happens, then this whole conversation goes out the door. But right now, I look at it and say, man, the Steelers would not be as big of Super Bowl contenders as they are right now, whether you're high or low on them after the Cincinnati game. But I do think that the future would have been very bright, and the Steelers wouldn't have known it, which would have been the best part of this whole thing. Is the whole year we would be talking about, like, there was no need to draft Jackson Dart. The Steelers shouldn't have drafted Jackson Dart. This was a ridiculous pick. He might suck, and we'd have no idea what was coming. But I think a year under Aaron Rodgers would have been really good for him, like really, really good for him. And I think my biggest pullback is there is just nobody in the NFL draft class coming up that has my attention right now. Nobody. Like, there are bits and pieces, but Lenore Sellers gives me Justin Fields vibes, where he's super uber talented, but once he's in the NFL, they're going to tell him, you got to stop with these dumb throws. And he's going to be overcautious, and he's going to have to pull back. Fernando Mendoza is going to go first overall. Everybody else looks like they suck. You know what I mean? Drew Aller went from a first, maybe a top 10 pick to a guy who is maybe going undrafted. You know, like, that's who Drew Aller is going to become. I don't know. Like, maybe you've changed your mind, but I just don't see. I think the realistic outcome, the craziest part of this whole thing, I think the realistic outcome in 2026 is Mason Rudolph and Will Howard competing for a starting job. And I don't know. Like, I don't feel good about that. Will Howard fans are going to get mad at me about this, but I don't feel good about that at all. I think it's a very scary situation for the Steelers. One that, I mean, they don't want Will Howard on the active roster right now. Why would they trust him to be the starter next year? And I don't think Mason Rudolph gives you the same competitive edge Aaron Rodgers does. It just, I don't know. I think they may have missed something. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just, in my side, I think they missed on something.
Where I'll meet you, to meet in the middle, is, would I prefer to have Jackson Dart developing over Will Howard right now? Sure. But do I feel any more confident that Jackson Dart is a Super Bowl winning quarterback right now? No. I just, like, I feel generally unfazed by this sort of splash plays that a rookie quarterback can come in and make until I see some sort of sustained effort and production. I'll be pretty, I guess, conservative on him. But, like, don't get me wrong. I think he's impressive, and I think that he shows a lot of signs of promise. Yeah. Sure. But, like, that's, I don't know. I think a lot of it's circumstantial too. Like, the Giants they play from behind a ton. Not that they were playing from behind against the Broncos, but they are a team that often has to say, this exception. This past game is a huge exception, but I think the Giants are a team that has to rely on a quarterback to sort of make plays and to scramble and stuff like that. And look, that's great. That's exciting. I just don't. Something about it does not feel like, oh, this is franchise quarterback for me. That connection's not being made for me. Maybe it is for you, but I think you have to just kind of roll the dice on someone else in 2026 and moving forward, because I don't think Jackson Dart would have been that answer anyways.
I have a concern that there is a quarterback problem emerging in the NFL, and that there will not be good quarterbacks in the league, like really dominant quarterbacks in the league for a couple of years. And I think that's what concerns me. Is I think Jackson Dart in like 2 years might be cream of the crop because everybody else sucks. And then you're like, oh,
oof.
And there's a real possibility, think about it. There's nobody coming out in college football that's really, really good. Cam Ward looks fine, but nothing crazy, nothing flashy. You go back to last year. You're even going back to CJ Stroud and Bryce Young looking like we still don't know if they're going to be good or not. Yeah, it's just,
no, we know.
I think there's a real conversation that there is a quarterback problem emerging, and you gotta maybe that's what the next good quarterback is in this whole cycle, is just somebody who's enough, just enough.
Do you think that if that really is the way we're going, would you feel better about having someone like Jackson Dart, or like, honestly, if the trend is as you are describing, Mason Rudolph doesn't sound like the worst option, because he's a quarterback who can at least get the ball to receivers. He's not good. He's not some statistical darling, but he's a veteran quarterback who knows how to work an offense, like someone like a Joe Flacco on some levels, where just like the knowledge of the game might prevail over talent and raw ability. If there's no great quarterbacks to be had and to develop and to count upon, what is the risk? That, like, why take the risk if you can go get someone who probably has a little bit more experience and what's the best word for it, like a little bit more like calm under pressure in that situation? Like, or do you think you just got to take the risk because everything's crap, might as well try to find the one diamond in the rough?
I think everything's crap and you got to find the one diamond in the rough. I think that's what it is, man. I think that's what it is. I think every year there's two good quarterbacks that have an opportunity, and the rest of them eventually look like garbage. And I think the Steelers are getting close to having to make that decision, and it started with the Kenny Pickett season, there was no good quarterbacks there, and we've yet to come across a draft. Jaden Daniels is the one. Drake May, that's the one exception. That draft class looks okay, but besides that, it's concerning, And I think that I'd be okay with Mason. I just don't. I think it closes the Super Bowl window, and you just got to wait for it to reopen, which is, I don't know. We'll see. It's hindsight's 2020. So in 6 months, we'll have a better conversation about this. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm excited to have that conversation. And I hope Jackson Dart has crazy eye black on and looks good for the rest of the season, because the dude's fun to watch. I hope that he's bad enough that Brian Dable is not his head coach in 2026, so that he's got somebody good. But I hope that he's good enough to, still have some fun out there.